Have you ever waited so long for a toy to come out and been looking forward to it so much that when you finally get it in hand, every little thing that's wrong with it just leaps out immediately? Greetings fans, hyperfans and people just lost looking for videos of cats on YouTube. Today we are looking at the first Decepticon in the second wave of Transformers Titans Return Deluxe class figures. This is Mindwipe, and he is a figure I've been looking forward to owning since about 1986. Now, I was quite an early adopter of Transformers. I did lose a little bit of interest when they went away from the die-cast weight of them all. But when I saw this guy on the shelf, I did have a little pang of, I'd really like to own him. And when I say him, I mean the original G1 Headmaster, who was pretty much a cube with bat wings stuck to the side of it. This guy is a far more detailed, far more articulated update of it. Still has the Headmaster gimmick and still turns into a bat. So, you know, I was really looking forward to this. He is by no means perfect, and I will go through some of the faults as I go through the rest of it. Articulation wise, he's actually pretty good. He has the ball jointed head, he has a ball joint in the shoulder and a regular hinge at the top for transformation, cut at the bicep, a double elbow mainly for transformation, a little bit of up and down movement in the hands. He has a waist swivel, universal joint at the hip, cut at the thigh, probably just under 90 degrees at the knee, and a good range of motion on the ankle tilt. He also has a little bit of movement here with the wings at the back. He's actually a very small figure. If I just move him back a little bit and put him next to the Tomahawk mold, he's pretty much the same height as that. And if I bring in one of the original Datsun figures, he's about half a head shorter. He also lacks an awful lot of bulk. He's a very skinny figure. I've so far seen maybe 3 reviews of this, and every single one of them has a different combination and setup of parts on this guy. I would like to say thanks to TF Direct for getting these out to me. They got them out about 8 days after I made the order. But these are obviously either rejects from the first run, or I don't know if they give the workers a handful of bits to practice with first, because he is not particularly well put together. I have had to swap the feet around so that he can stand flat. I know that other people have had to swap the whole legs around. These are just friction jointed in. The legs are just on mushroom joints. But the arms are actually pinned in backwards on mine. I could pop them off of the mushroom joints there, but then you'd have the exposed mushroom joints in robot mode, and I kind of like the idea of him having these clips on the inside of his arm. The only thing that really has a problem with is that his larger Titan piloted weapon is supposed to go on the outside of his arm as a shield. But okay, that's not going to be on every single one of these, and again, I'm just very glad to have this guy in hand. The other bit of misassembly is on the back, and I will talk about this giant bit of back kibble later. You can see these two nubbins here. They are supposed to be on the outside, and I also have a feeling that these wings are supposed to be pointing downwards. And I'll show you that when it gets to transformation. But this is all soft, child-friendly, super degradable rubberized plastic. There's even a little bit of that in the legs. And it kind of seems a little bit half-hearted in its design. But I'm going to try and be positive. Like everything else in this line, he is a Titan Master or Headmaster, so we can just rip his head off. And if I go down to Titan Cam, Mindwipe's partner, let me just get him into focus, is Vorath. We've got some very nice detail in that sculpt, the silver faceplate, the red visor, and like the rest, he unfolds into a bicolored robot. Turn the head round, and you see somebody's week's worth of hard sculpting disappearing into unpainted plastic. The purple and black does look good, but you know, this is the kind of thing I would expect to find in a cracker. I shouldn't be too hard on him though, because if I just again bring him in with a Lego figure, he is probably the tiniest Transformer that I have ever owned, and I'm really waiting for somebody with not too bright children to try suing Hasbro because they're a choking hazard. His articulation is pretty limited. He has ball joints at the arms, which let them go out just a little bit and up to about shoulder height. The legs are pinned through on this one at the hips, and then a metal bar between the feet. Bend that 180 degrees. It would have been very, very nice to have individually articulated legs, but I can kind of understand why they didn't do that. If I take the shield and pop out these two strange blade things, he can actually just sit in there and fits in very nicely. Seatbelts on, lads. And it turns into a little rocket sled, which you can of course arm up with Mindwipe's gun. So for little Micronaut playset type things, that's very cool. Okay, I'm not going to take that away from them. The play factor in that is it's fun. And I'm sure that anybody who's got some metallic paint and knows how to dry brush can really turn those Titan Masters into some very cool little figures. As much as I've moaned about him, transforming Mindwipe is actually pretty fun. The original was basically just squashing him up into a rectangle and pulling the wings out. This is a little bit more complex. We will fold the hands in, double the arms up, and push those down to the side. Pull the wings all the way through. Now, rotating the waist, we can take each of the legs and just unpeg it at the back here and completely open that up. The feet fold all the way back and soft snap into place. The little tabs on the bottom of these wings slide into what was the forearms. And finally, the head snaps up into a divot in the waist and just kind of sits there. Vorath can actually fit into this beast mode if we just open up this translucent section. You will see a throne-like opening with a small hole at the bottom, which Vorath's heel spurs push very firmly into, and if you don't have him placed in quite so firmly, you can't close that back up again. In animal mode, it's a very tiny figure. Obviously he's got the huge wingspan, but the actual mass of the body, if I just pull in Trailbreaker, he does look very diminutive, especially when you stand him next to one of the Legends class figures. Basically the center mass is about the same as that. So yeah, he just seems a little on the small side. Now, if the wings had been the other way up and the other way round, those two little pieces there would probably just about fit into these tabs here to help lock this all together, but I think that very much looks like two different design teams not meeting in the middle. The wings are fantastically articulated, with 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll call that 4 hinges on each one, even if that final one does tend to pop the wings out of the legs. He's got an opening and closing mouth, which is already starting to deform because of that soft plastic. The legs are kind of locked into position, but that's still quite cool. However, let's start to get onto the things I've got a problem with. In robot mode, this bat head literally just sits on the back of the robot, and I know that that's G1 accurate, but with this huge space, which has a Titan Master in it at the moment, could we not have had the head fold up into there? I am an absolute hater of the soft plastic. I think that if children are gonna lose their eyes on toys, let's get it over and done with. And it's just Darwinian evolution at work. And then the final big thing I have is the weapons. Now on Carbots, you tend to have weapons sticking everywhere on these. You have a couple of points with the hands, at the top here for putting guns in, and that's cool. And if you'd had 2 of them, then that would have looked really good. But we have this thing as well, which it's coloured up to match the brown bat fur, but there's no way of sort of really clipping this onto the back, and the only way that I can find of doing anything like justice for storing is to wedge the handle into this soft plastic on the head. Doesn't really lay flat anywhere, but at least it seems to clip in a little bit better. If there is something that I am missing, please put it in the comments below, because I would really like to know that there's some absolutely grace-saving cleverness that has, until now, escaped me. The bat mode is a peculiar mix. I know that the G1 toy was literally a rectangle with bat wings and a very beastie head stuck on the top of it. I know they followed that through, but they could have, you know, refined the idea a little bit. Very peculiarly, this character mode also seems to reference Ratbat. He's actually got little cassette circles moulded into the wings. Maybe I am being tough on this guy because I had such high hopes on him. But honestly, he does strike me as the weakest of this series. There are things that can be sorted out on him, and I won't pass 100% judgment until I see a proper retail version of it, but he's too minor a character for anyone to go to the process of doing a third-party set for the wingtips and the head, and maybe even a couple of suitable guns for there. So you're kind of stuck with however he turns up at retail. So far with this series, we've had one must buy, one up to you, and one I'd probably wait till he's discounted. Next video is Wolfwire or Wirewolf, and if you want to make sure you don't miss that, why not hit the subscription button? If you like this video, give it the thumbs up. If you've got anything to add, that's what the comment section is for. Until next time, remember, if you're keeping the mint in package, you're not a toy collector, you're a box collector.
Nice!